Hi everybody! Today I'm going to be working on this self-watering bed I built last year. This was kind of an experiment. After watching Nancy and Hollis's homestead, they talked a lot about the fact that birds seem to get into their strawberries, so I started strawberries at each end of this bed last year, hoping for the runners to fill in, which they have. I have now 15 strawberry plants in here, but I didn't put a cover on this, which Hollis and Nancy recommended, and I think that's probably going to be the best thing for us to do. And keep in mind, I didn't do a video of this because this was a really big experiment. I watched a lot of self-watering videos last year because, I forget to water and then my plants die. And so I'm always looking for ways around that, and it's because I just get sidetracked with all my different projects I'm doing. And the bed worked flawlessly. I only had to water 3 times the whole entire year, and I grew cayenne pepper, strawberry, lettuce, spinach, huge celery stalks, which I think I have pictures of. All were grown in this bed last year. But this year it's going to be almost completely dedicated to strawberries. However, I think I'm going to do something here in the middle because the strawberries won't quite span there. So what I want to do is I want to improvise getting this plastic up somehow. And I think I got a plan to do that. Okay, so I'm going to be making this cover for the waterless self-watering bed with just parts I have laying around. I have some PVC left over from the security light project we did 2 years ago. And then I have this box of screws that I keep laying around that have different screws in it. I am sure these 3-inch drywall screws, or multi-purpose screws, whatever you call them, are overkill, but I've got them, and I'm hoping it'll work out great. So let's go out and put some screws in and see what happens. So I put this plastic on here, just kind of clean it out. We in our other projects in the house have been tearing out 150-year-old plaster, and it's just nasty. So we're constantly putting this plastic up to keep the dust down. But I planned on reusing this plastic to do a greenhouse cover concept on here. So that's where we're going now. So when I built these self-watering beds, there's 3 vertical posts that I put in with the plan of putting some kind of screening or covering over the top of this. So since it's spring and my plants have already started to green up, I want to get plastic over them to give them a head start on growing this year. So I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the center of each one of these 2x4s, and I'm going to put a screw in . Probably about halfway. Those are 3-inch screws, so that's about 1.5 inches in, maybe. I'm not going to measure them, guys. It's not that important. And then I'm going to put the second screw up here at the top, in the center of the 2x4. Okay, so I put screws in the vertical posts of each one of the 3 legs for the self-watering bed. Now what I want to do is I want to take a piece of PVC, and we're going to cut it and put it over these screws to make the arch. Okay, so I have all this PVC left over from other projects and just things I've salvaged from around. I already went ahead so as not to bore everybody and figured out how big they need to be. And it's very simple. Because we're inventing and experimenting here, we can pretty much do whatever we want. So I'm going to cut the 3 pieces off to be the same size using a poly cutter. The one that needs sharpened. That's I've got my poly cut off, I've got my screws in. So I'm going to throw the poly over the screw. And I'm going to start bending and put it over the bottom screw. And I think that's going to make a good cover. Once I get all 3 of them up, I'll decide if I'm going to put something this way. I really do think I'm going to put at least 1, 2 pieces of poly going that way. Okay, so I've got the 3 pieces of poly up, and I think they're going to do a good job holding the plastic. As I feared, these are moving a little bit this way, so I'm definitely going to have to put 1 here, and I want to put 1 here to keep the plastic from sagging. But an important thing I figured out was down here at the bottom, the poly wants to rest on the high side of that screw because those screws are so long. You got to get it all the way down there or your screw's just going to break off. So I've got some galvanized wire here that we bought for hobby stuff. I'm going to take about, I don't know, what's that look like, 8 inches? Just kind of guessing. We're going to string this across the top here. And we're just going to use the wire. To hold it in place. And I'm going all the way around the back. And then I'm coming up to the middle. And I'm going to twist together. And then of course I'm going to have to fold this down so it doesn't poke through the plastic. And as you twist this, it's going to tighten up around this pipe. That's because the pressure is going to be for it to slide down. So this is where you're going to want the pressure at. So if you look in here, you see this has gotten super, super tight and doesn't want to move. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to clip off my little bit extra here. And then I'm going to fold this down so it doesn't poke the plastic. You just need to remember it's there so you don't poke your hand on it. There's the mower. See, we kind of pulled the plastic up and over. In the last shot, you saw the, I guess they're horizontal supports or purlings, what you call them on a pole barn. Now I'm trying to figure out how best to attach the plastic and still be able to take it on and off easily for ventilation or really hot days, because when it gets above 70 or 80 degrees, I probably don't want this poly cover on. I probably want a screen cover on. But what I'm going to do first and foremost is get the ends sealed up. So on the self-watering bed, it's lined with plastic, and we never cut the ends off because I just didn't know if they were going to be useful or if I was going to continue the experiment with the self-watering bed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the ends up, and then I'm just going to staple them. And I know this stapling isn't going to hold that well, but this really is a temporary thing to get us through. Get us through this winter concept. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I'm really the only person who works on this bed or even cares. So I folded it up and over, and I made part of an end wall. Still have it up. One of the things I never did on the self-watering beds that I was supposed to do was come back through and staple the liner up. We actually used clothespins all last year to hold it up. You can see clothespins still stuck on there. So I got the staple gun out. There's some staples in. All right, babe. You can stop recording. So I came around and I stapled the back of the poly, or plastic, to the back of the uprights a lot. What's probably going to end up happening is I'm going to have to put a board across here to keep the wind from lifting this up. But this also allows for air movement in here because I've been worried about how I'm going to ventilate. And you can see I wrapped it around and I actually stapled it on the inside to create this crease so that when it's sitting up here. You can see how the board wraps up and how it holds the plastic down. Now I'm going to put a little mechanism on to be able to tie the plastic and the board back to keep it flush against the face of the self-watering bed. So to do that, I'm just going to take a little drywall spool from my drywall box, and I'm going to put it in the 2x4 in the back here, just behind the 2x4, the middle of the vertical 2x4, right behind at the level. You can see the screw right there of where the 2x4 is. And then I'm going to take a piece of that wire that I used to string the poly pipes together, and I'm going to go around here, and I'm going to wire it to that. It'll mean you'll have to unwire it to roll it up, but then when it's time to get in the bed, which really isn't that often, all you got to do is undo the wire and roll the bed up. And then you can work inside the bed. I may come through and add like a handle here to make this easier to turn, but that really wasn't that hard to turn in the first place. And you can see you can only go so far because you stretch your plastic. That vent hole is going to work really well as a passive vent hole with the air coming up from back here.
Recording.
I'm going to get it down so you don't get stabbed with it. Self-watering bed. I got a strawberry plant in this corner, strawberry plant in this corner, and 4 runners here and 4 runners here. So this is going to help the strawberries kick up and grow a little sooner. It's mid-February here. It's 35, 40 degrees, but we just had 3 inches of snow yesterday. So winter here comes and goes around March. So I'm hoping to get an extra month of growing time out of these strawberries, and I may even try to plant some leafy greens in here in the next few weeks as temperatures improve. They're saying 60s, maybe even some 70s next week. We'll see how well that holds, because another cold snap just might kill any leafy greens I try to grow out here. As you can see now, I put a bracket on to hold the board, give it a little more stability in the wind. You saw I could roll it up real easy. The ends are enclosed, but they're not super enclosed. So there's still airflow going in and out. And as far as this experiment goes, let's just see what happens. I have my suspicions it's not going to hold up to the first thunderstorm that comes through. I don't foresee the plastic being strong enough to lift the whole entire bed up. It weighs quite a bit. We're going to make this bed mobile this year because I put it in a really bad spot. I need to be able to move this bed around with the seasons because we get about an hour and a half of sun right here this time of the year. But if I were just to move it 10 feet that way, it would get full sun almost all day long. So I want to put some wheels on the bottom of this as one of my summer projects this year so I can move this thing around. And also, we have such a small yard that this is the only place I can get my truck in and out. So once I put this bed in here, I can no longer get my truck into the backyard, which has made carrying drywall and unloading wood and stuff a little more of a challenge. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. It's the first time I've ever said that to anybody. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Yes, I know this is really put together crazy, but I got no money involved in putting this together in just a little bit of time. And it really is only supposed to last this year. I'll do something different in the future, just like this bed. This bed was not even supposed to last this long. I'm going to go ahead and try it one more year and see what happens. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.